Alright folks, we're back. And still waiting. 10 minutes is obnoxiously long to have a break for, but as we can see, even VSL is not ready to come back yet. They're also 0-0. This didn't pause, right? No, this is still a live feed.
It is a little bit awkward.
Well, we have Zest versus Classic on deck. Afterwards, depending how fast or maybe long this series is, we may have a bit of discussion on the WCS events that have happened recently and some other things for sure. But if this goes game 5 and it's like each game's 30 minutes long, then you know what? We're not going to do that. But I don't know, Classic and Zest? I can actually see this being kind of one-sided for Classic, to be honest.
Zest, it looks so not Zest lately.
Not Zest is the most polite and accurate way you could probably phrase that.
But it is like PvP, and they've been going towards like these late game styles. So I'm a little worried that it's going to be a long series no matter what.
Yeah. Like they didn't announce something that I missed, did I? Like they're still on this break screen, or maybe just the live feed didn't come back. Is it supposed to be on this break screen still? Awkward. But yeah, as ZombieGrub's writing in chat, the reason we're not having the discussion right now, the reason we didn't during the break, was because we didn't know how long or how short we'd have. And this is not a topic I want to be cut off in the middle of, so we can be like, oh, games are starting. Well, we'll finish this thought later, right? Like, what's Rego the movie? What's happening now? Oh, her name's Reyna. I need to write this down.
Kim Jua.
Is there sound? Oh, it's the first time I hear her voice.
Huh.
Rego the movie, and it's like Lego. I'm not sure what's happening right now. I feel like we're getting memed on really hard by the Koreans.
I guess their names combined together.
Isn't his name like Kanata though?
Yeah, unless it's her username and his real name. I don't know.
Randall Rogers has a nice ring to it. Yeah, maybe if you spelt my name right, Johnny Croat.
내가요? 네. 여러분들 되게 섭섭하네요. 아, 그래요. 역시 스타트판이 좋죠.
I don't know. I'm like, you know what?
아니, 잠깐만요. 다 좋아요.
I'm gonna go back to muting her. She was a lot better when I didn't know what she sounded like.
Yeah, her voice isn't that great.
It's actually, it's very, it's not bad, but it's just like, it's such a, I guess, a stereotypically higher pitched voice, you know? Like, not to make it weird, but I like ZombieGrub's voice because she's like not your typical stereotype girl to listen to, right?
I think I sound very stereotypical when I listen to myself.
Whoa, she got changed really fast.
Whoa, how did that happen? Oh my god, did she change her voice too?
Wait, did Dom really find her Twitter?
Apparently.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's her, but I'm gonna give her a follow anyways. I don't think this is her, dude. She's like taking pictures at the Apex League.
Wait, where did you...
I'm like actually 100% sure. You just made me follow somebody who... Well, actually, maybe this is her.
Her profile picture looks very different.
Well, so I'm scrolling down and she's got like pictures of her at G-Star and she looks a lot more than she does. She looks a lot more like she does on stream in that picture than her...
Wikipedia. I think this is right. Yeah.
Well, I'll keep that follow anyways because this woman is also beautiful, and I don't mind having beautiful women in my newsfeed.
Yeah.
Careful now. Careful now.
Good.
Rifkin likes ZombieGrub because she sounds like a man. His words, not mine. That's exactly how that was phrased.
I prefer it that way. Let's go with that now.
So is it gay then? Like... I'm into them more manly sounding women.
Sounds like a man.
I need at least 3 octaves lower to get my juices.
Lower.
Too low.
Too low.
Lower. Dom did something interesting detective work. He says, I'm not sure. I was just looking at the people VSL is following, and there was only one female caster. Process of elimination, my man.
That's some good detective work.
I'm telling you guys, just wait. She's
I wonder if you looked at who BaseTradeTV was following.
BaseTradeTV is actually not following much, I think. It's just like a bunch of teams that are fucking out of date that I've been too lazy to go unfollow. Like, I think BaseTradeTV still follows Evil Geniuses and stuff, and it's like, lol.
Yeah.
Actually, I wonder who the most recent people I've followed are. I don't even know. Maybe I'm gonna open myself to embarrassment here, guys. We're gonna look at this together on stream. All right. So you click following. Who are the most recent people I've followed?
How many people do you follow, real quick?
566. I cut this number down after you judged me, right? But okay.
You cut it down to. I thought you cut it down to like 1,000 the first time.
Yeah. I kept working on it. All right. So we got beautiful Korean caster lady, my ASMR goddess, who I am absolutely in love with. Krendor, Tim Hortons, girl from College Humor, the guy who developed BitBoss, the guy who did production at Ting. I've actually got a pretty good spread of like girls to guys. I'm proud of myself actually right now. I thought this would be a lot more like, oh, you're following only girls, Rifkin. Well, I am following rapid casting, so it kind of.
Wow, not necessary. I have a pretty good mix as well, but I also follow half the amount of people.
Yeah. Krendor is actually hilarious. I knew who Krendor was. Like, I've seen his name all over the place, but I never seen any of his content. And then he was doing like this Power Ranger stream where him and his buddies were co-streaming it, just kind of drunkenly making fun of it the whole time. Or maybe it was sober and they just sounded drunk. Either way, it was hilarious, and I thought he was great. So I followed him, and he followed me back. I don't know why, but that is his content's been pretty funny.
Look at all the people who should be following.
Yo, hold up. They're saying Cherry Crush is a porn star. I need to find some of that content because I only watch her for ASMR. I didn't know there was this other element to it. I'm not gonna complain.
Huh?
Okay, well, it looks like they're at the desk ready to go. Couple of good-looking dudes.
Aww. One of the Overwatch guys still follows me.
Well, on Twitch, you really follow females, Rick, and let's not forget you only host girls. I mean, we were literally hosting Fenner when the stream went live, but you know what? Yeah, it's only girls. Also, we like auto-host everybody, so it's not even up for me to pick. But again,
I was gonna be like
only girls. I would imagine we are probably following a fair amount of girls on Twitch, though, because I do watch more girls than guys.
Okay, well, that's what they're saying. Oh. I feel sad now.
Because Zest is out of your league?
That constantly is a source of sadness for me. But no, I was following Carrie Fisher.
Oh, man. Whatever happened to her? They had that weird show, right? That spin-off thing?
Can't tell if trolling.
Oh, Carrie Fisher. Oh, shit. Oh, you're talking... Okay, no. Oh, man. You're talking about Princess Leia. God damn it. I, for some reason, thought you were talking about the Mythbusters chick. What's her name?
I have no idea. I don't watch Mythbusters. That's hilarious. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Oh, it's Carrie Bryan. My bad. I just heard Carrie and my brain went the wrong way.
I got you.
What happened to her in chat? Guys, I confused her. I obviously know what happened to Carrie fucking Fisher, alright? Jesus happened to her, because she definitely went to heaven. She was a great person.
Oh my god. Oh. Well,
I'm not going to live that one down for some time. Players are ready to go. First map has been selected. This is the second and last best of 5 today. And we're going to be desynced, by the way, because I did pause by mistake during the commercial break, so we'll have to sync that up as we get in.
I'm at the dun part.
Yeah, that accurately described the intro. Yo, who does mech versus bio, though, really? VSL, please, make these intros believable.
Okay.
All right, I'm at 12, 13, 14, 15.
I'm a little ahead of you. It's classic.
All right. After we do the intro, I guess we'll pause and sync up then. And his boat top right, he is the man with a plan. It's the blue Protoss Zest. Zest is best.
Sure.
At other things that aren't this matchup.
Do you have facts with this, or?
Well, I mean, he's actually probably the best looking player, and that's not having anything to do with the matchup. So
Lucira is getting up there, man.
yo, hit that pause button, girl. I'm gonna count. You tell me when. 53, 54, 55.
Oh, you're a little bit ahead of me now because I did pause. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay,
1 minute.
We're good. Sorry again for those who don't know what's going on. The VSL gives us like a live stream. We're not actually in-game spectating, so I don't have control over things. We have to sync up the video feed once in a while. Because on account of the fact that both of us regularly observe the game firsthand, I keep doing things like I'll click or hit U in the production tab. Like, doesn't work. No bueno. But actually, jokes and whatever about Zest aside, I do want to point out, like, I feel like Classic is the better player of the two, just objectively here. But also, he's like the guy more willing to cheese. Like, without a doubt in my mind, he's more willing to cheese.
Oh yeah, he's a cheesy little son of a gun. Well, he can be. But Zest had that period too where he was having trouble.
They're both so
and he
close
started
to each other
cheesing
doing
as
this.
well.
This is too funny.
Right. So they both wall each other out, which is important. If one of them had not cheesed and gone for like an adept attack or even stalkers, I suppose, they definitely adepts. Like this could have been a problem. But with the wall, it's not. But the wall in itself is suspicious. So like they both, you think, would be thinking like. Are they doing the exact same proxy too? Like, not even one person goes with Stargate, the other one goes for Dark Shrine. They're both gonna go for Dark Shrine. Good. Well, that's just amazing, isn't it?
This is. I mean, it's the fact that neither of them are gonna see it is what really blows me away, right? Like, it would actually make sense for Zest not to scout Classic, but Classic should probably actually catch Zest on his way out.
You would think. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, like I thought it was Dark Templar for both players, but then Classic went for a Robo. No, kitten, stop pressing the pause button. And maybe Classic figured out what it was? Like, why would you build a Robo with the Twilight Council?
I don't know, man. Warp Prism, and there's all kinds of question marks coming down to this, but what blows me away is if Classic moves south and he sees this, he can build a DT and snipe the pylon or whatever, right? And like then it's game over because Zest just loses everything. There's no reason for Zest to go north, is my point. All that probe has to do is leave and go rally home, and it's gonna walk past everything.
Classic's probably not gonna move his probe, but I feel like. So he might not have realized what Zest is doing. Again, it was like sort of suspicious they both walled off, but that doesn't tell you a lot. He might just end up getting the better end of the build orders because he's the one that's gonna have detection. If Zest starts a Robo right now, it's gonna be sniped probably. But he's not even building a Robo right now, so it might even, not even be a point to make. Like, I think Classic just wins with this build. He bothered to get a Warp Prism.
He should win, but I think the thing about DT is it's so. See, there's the scout. This is, and Zest has got to be like, wait a minute, where did that come from, right? So yeah, an observer gets made. He knows exactly what's up. He'll buy time back on the other side of the map. He's super layering the wall, and he knows the DTs are going to try and break this. This is so smart. This is so clever. I still don't know how much time it's going to buy because it is DTs killing buildings after all. But he does buy that precious few seconds that might make a world of difference.
Oh my god, he's triple wall. It's not gonna work. It's a cool idea.
Why did he put the DTs away? I'm curious.
Because he doesn't know. He probably thinks there's a Robo. Like, if Classic had done a regular build, there's a Robo build and an Observer right now.
That probe is gonna kill the pylon.
But it's not a regular build, and he would have found that out had he entered the main.
Oh, the force field denial! Classic, you're so sick. The Robo's gonna die. GG. That's all there is to say about this game.
It's such a dumb game.
The highest level of skill available in Korea for StarCraft 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. You have to pause your video for like 2 seconds.
Alright. 1, 2.
Should be good.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, I love PvP. I love watching Classic be cheesy in PvP. It's just so funny that the key difference in that game, like, you could argue the Robo, and I will actually give you that, but I would also say it's just the positioning. Like, where they chose to proxy was big. If Zest didn't proxy right next to Classic might not have seen that, and he might not have been prepared to do like the triple layer of walls that kept those DTs out of the base, right? Like,
so, but it would have been such a stupid game that still would have gone in Classic's favor.
It was such a stupid game that did go in Classic's favor.
Because like they would have killed each other's bases. Classic would have denied the Robo. Although I guess maybe Zest could have made a Robo on his because then the 1DT would have warped in. Yeah, I think Classic wins no matter what.
While you think about that for a moment, I just want to say, like, to respond to chat, I loved that game. That was it was entertaining and a fun game. But it is just like objectively, you're like, how stupid is this? This is happening.
I'm a little Cinderay, so when I say a dumb game, I really mean an amazing game.
Yeah, it's like you know, oh, that was sick means that was good.
I didn't think that game was smart anyways. Well then. Proxima Station, all about those proxies, am I right?
Sure.
Shut up. Happens a lot. And the next game. Taking a while to get in.
Wait, where are you at right now?
I just entered the game.
Okay. It's Classic.
In the bottom left is Blue Protoss. He is Zest.
Okay, I feel like you're really far behind me. What time are you at?
25, 26, 27.
Keep counting.
28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 4.
Okay, we're good. How did you get like 10 seconds behind?
Counted Mississippi. Sorry, I can't think that.
I love the idea of like a miscellaneous Mississippi. Anyways,
I wasn't like that far behind.
that was like 10 seconds, dog. That was far behind.
Well, I meant at the end of last game, like, you would call the GG about 3 seconds with Mississippi's faster than I saw it, but
Did you actually? So that's a question. Funny enough, did you actually grow up with that being the standard, like Mississippi's, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi?
no, not at all. Like, if someone told me to count the 1 to 10, I would not put Mississippi's in there.
Well, so when I was learning to time it would be 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4. Like we never had Mississippi. I heard about it because of TV and stuff, but
I never counted like super accurately. So like, did you ever play Mario Party?
No, I've never played Mario Party in my entire life. But I have played Mario Party.
Okay, well, whatever. I think it's a legitimate question. So, you ever play the mini game where you have to count and then like slap the button like when it comes down to 10? Get the guess, right?
Oh, I hate that
yeah.
game.
Yeah, so my friend, as smart as she is, super smart person, a little bit full of herself because of it. But anyways, like she counts with Mississippi's. She's like, I know how to do this. Like, it's the trick is to count like you would actually count seconds. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna guess. So she does that, and I just guess, and the game is like, I'm totally on point. Like the game like is totally with me, and she just is sitting there going like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like this didn't count actual seconds. This is bullshit.
This is the strangest thing to subtle brag about, but congratulations, you're good at counting.
It's more like I'm just saying that you don't have to learn how to count
at Mario Party.
No, it's not about being better at Mario Party. It's about the fact that Mississippi shouldn't matter, okay? People don't count with Mississippi's all the time. 1, 2, 3 is good enough. Whatever, man. Zest has some early pressure.
Oh, that is Zest's pylon coming down with a mothership core. This is kind of cool because Classic. Actually, that's not cool. That went really badly,
Zest,
actually.
Please. Oh, come on now, Zest. Come on now.
Oh, Zest. Man, no cancel. Loses the Adepts for nothing. The mothership core is going to die. Oh my god, how did it not die?
Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, the Adept dies.
But this,
I have to kill 2 pro.
This still just ends up being terrible as far as openings go for Zest. Like, that's a lot.
No, it is.
Like, they're not showing the resources lost, guys, but the resources lost, like, a good 100 to 250 that. Plus this pylon, too. So, like, 350 over Classic. With nothing happening.
Oh my god. Classic just has such a faster Nexus. He's gonna have faster tech. I mean, Zest just finds himself in a difficult position.
Well, we'll see what he does going forward. His Nexus is considerably late. Classic is just in so many ways subtly ahead in the early game that will translate to, I think, more obvious leads. Give it another 5-10 minutes. The nature of PvP is not one that you can really make comeback action with. Like ZVZ, at least, you'd watch like a good bailing hit go off and you're like, oh, the game just turned around. PvP's like, no, you're just still building stalkers and hoping they're not dumb enough to attack you. Like,
if they get long enough into the game, you know, could go to disruptors, but I feel like Classic should just... Oh, okay, that force flipped now. Looking at the probe. Classic could just, like, actually attack when he has 1 or 2 immortals and probably do pretty well. So, as a Zest kind of accommodating for that, it seems like we're going for a War Prism, so we can at least keep Classic back at home. Second, it's worrying. Wait, is it like counting Mississippi's? Well, you said that you've seen it on TV, but I guess you didn't learn it and you're in Canada. Mississippi is an American state.
yeah.
We're the only ones that do it?
I mean, the only ones with no universal health care and the imperial
We're the
system,
only
right?
ones. Without universal health.
Okay, you're like one of the only ones in the developed world. Okay, is that better?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Africa doesn't have universal health care either.
All of Africa.
Ethiopia's pretty much on the same level.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, Zest,
Oh.
you might just want to count your losses here and
Just leave.
yeah, just buckle up for game 3. That was a huge pickoff. That War Prism going down was not just minor harass. That was a lot of investment for Zest.
That was him keeping the army back, like I was talking about. Like, oh god.
What is this stat in the bottom right? Idle time.
Oh,
Is it like an APM differential gauge or something? Like,
I thought it was like probe idling, but that would have been like millisecond. I have no idea, man.
yeah, that's interesting. Hey, so speaking of Mississippi's and like growing up with this stuff,
Yeah.
that's also a really tough word to spell. Could you spell it?
No.
IT.
No, I'm not gonna. I know where this joke is going. Okay, having
Wait,
lived in America.
That's the end of the joke. The joke was done. We arrived at the station. Punchline delivered.
Lived in America and gone to elementary school. I think everyone's done every version of the Mississippi jokes ever.
Wait, what other Mississippi jokes are there? It's just like isn't it just spell it and that's it?
Well, there's spelling it so that you say you peed, and there's spelling it so that you say like tit, and then there's one other one I don't remember because I've never been much of a jokester, but I'm sure chat will bring it up.
What's a jokester?
I never was into the jokes, man. I don't like setting up for the punchline.
Well, I understand. Your mom probably taught you enough that if you'd smile, it would create creases and like it'd ruin your face. I understand.
You can smile and be funny without making jokes with punchlines. I'm sorry, but the world doesn't revolve around that little booklet that's 50 safe jokes for your kids.
This is an interesting focus fire on the Sentry. I don't know if it's worth losing the stalkers that he did for it, because that wouldn't have created an engagement he could have taken. So for Classic, I guess maybe he felt a little bit bad for Zest's game and wanted to donate him some units.
Maybe. I'm not sure about that. I think getting the Sentry, because it was the only Sentry and it was full health, was totally... Oh no, there is another Sentry, my bad. Well, still, this third Sentry is going to have a force field. That's the point. So if you focus fire as a Sentry again, it's going to be no Guardian Shield.
It just occurred to me, but I realized they have their saturation down on the colors. Because the Stalker Go-Go boots normally stand out much more.
Go-Go boots. Disruptor is available for Zest. 2 Disruptors, in fact.
Yeah, this can make a huge difference for the fight. But, I mean, Stalkers and Blink, like, they should never really be hit by any of this. It's the Immortals and the Sentries that are the big vulnerable targets. War Prism could actually help some of these units escape too, providing bad engagements. But he sees that third now, and Classic might just say, you know what, I don't need to take the fight out here. I'll just do a soft contain while I knock down that third base. And Zest is Not going to be happy to have to cancel that base, much less lose it, because on the other side of the map, Classic's pretty happily at that third setup and mining.
But Classic is pretty late to Disruptors. He's going to have to make up for that with a double Robo, which I don't think he has.
That's true.
This is kind of important. Like, Zest is more than just the, I'm going to blink on top of the 1 Disruptor and not have to worry about it. Like, at 4 Disruptors, Zest could maybe even counterattack. He loses Observer, he's going to lose a Disruptor. That kind of sucks.
Oh, I'm really sad no one's using the new Immortal skin.
No skins for you. Just Go-Go boots.
As you say, he's using the Stalker one, so that's not the case. He does go into focus on top of the Disruptor, and in doing so, dodges the shots. This works out really well. It's so hard to actually take a fight against a player when you have none of your own Disruptors, but Classic is making it happen. The Immortals are really the linchpin to this army, and they haven't even barely been scratched. Picks up. No, he does still have 2 Immortals going strong.
Oh,
Blinks
yeah,
forward. That's aggressive. No Mothership Core. No chance to survive. GG. Classic takes a 2-0 lead.
All
right,
That's very good. What?
The guy walks into a bar.
I don't care.
And he asks the bartender if he can get a glass of fruit punch. The bartender says it's kind of busy. You'll have to just go to the back of the line and wait your turn. So the guy turns around and there's nobody else in the bar. There's no punchline.
I'm gonna let chat laugh at that one for you.
It's okay. I'm doing a really silly dance that you can't see anymore.
I bet you are.
All right,
so balls coming out.
Go back to the big screen for a second here. Zest, we knew coming into this, has not been looking in shape. And what's really unfortunate is, like, you could say this is compared to Zest of previous days. You know, Zest we saw in 2016, for example, was an absolute god. But this isn't just that Zest isn't looking like a god anymore. Like, and I'm far from trying to call him like a bad player or anything like that, but he's not looking good. And that's a fact. Through Lima Leagues and whatever we see him playing in, I'm not sure what his deal is right now. Because he is and was such a good player, but he's not getting any results in 2017. Not really.
It's almost 4 months into 2017. That's substantial. If it's almost April already. Tomorrow's April 1st! Oh my god!
Oh boy, I can't wait for all the really annoying jokes.
I'm so glad I'm not casting.
I was gonna say, we have the day off, which is nice. It's funny though, you think with me, that would be my favorite holiday, right? I cannot stand that day.
I think it goes back to different types of jokes, right?
I will say my favorite of all time though was WoW Wiki became Meow Wiki for a day, and
yeah, we
all
were
the articles replaced by cats. That's the only really truly great April Fools where I was like, yes, this nailed it perfectly. But I will say I do look forward to seeing what Blizzard plans to do.
Yeah.
It ends up being pretty fun, even if it is stupid and cringy.
Not cringy. I like the party hats.
I also like the party hats. And I like the 7 weeks of party hats in fall.
Well, the party hats were the anniversary. It was Warhounds or April Fools.
Oh yeah, all the SCVs became Warhounds and stuff, or the workers rather.
Yeah.
I would love if they actually. So speaking of models, right? If they imported some sort of like Brood War low-res models to replace the workers, like.
Everyone was guessing like it was going to do a Brood War, and I really hope they do. I'm not even like I don't even think that'd be too obvious. I think they should.
Classic comes across with a freaking cannon rush, by the way. Are you for real? Oh, Zest like, doesn't see it.
Zest got beat once, it feels, in a off-stream match in DreamHack or whatever. Then someone else did it to him like 2 weeks later. I feel like Zest is just a punching bag for cannon rushes.
He's a punch bag for Classic. I mean, look at it. Oh, he sees it. Oh, but he's
not even.
Can he do anything about it though?
He was like not even like using the keyboard for a second. He was like cracking his knuckles, and he's just like, "Oh shit!"
He's like, I gotta get going. I got to get got. All right, so I really truly I don't know how this will work. We haven't seen cannon rushes often enough to really sit here and be like, well, analytically speaking, if you pull exactly 4 probes, you'll be able to do it. Like,
you have to commit to this so much. Like, you cannot just like this would be game over if you can't do it.
Second probe on the way. It's gonna try and get some cannons down. I mean, the thing is, like, whatever Classic, or excuse me, Zest builds out of these gateways from the cyber core, none of it's gonna deal cannons too efficiently.
No, because hide the probe.
puts him down. Probes get pulled again. Classic does have money because he got cancels and those weren't kills on the cannons before, but you know, this is actually a really good probe pull out of Zest.
Yeah. It's kind of the trick about cannon rushes nowadays is that there's a lot of probes to use, and sure you have more minerals also. It still doesn't matter. In fact, that was 2 pylons and a cannon.
Oh, this one looks
It's
like
gonna finish.
Well,
Are you gonna let that finish?
I don't know, dude.
Bring another probe. Bring another probe.
Okay, so that'll cover the other cannon building too. But this is where Stalkers come into play. In Classic, his probe is like kind of dead.
It's pretty dead.
I don't know how much more he gets out of this, and of course it's
You
all
should build
about
another
money.
cannon right now. He's gonna lose the probe though.
Ooh.
He's trying to macro. That cannon's gonna finish.
Yeah, but it's gonna finish with like no health.
Yeah, pretty much no health.
Cancels
Cancel
it.
it.
This
It's
ends up
just-
being a pretty big failure out of Classic. But you know what? When you're up, like honest to God, like you're up 2-0 versus Zest, I think you're okay to make this risk.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like I almost wanted to do it again in the next game.
I know. Like no one would expect it twice. But that's also where we start like wondering, like, did VSL suggest these games go to ace matches because there's only 2 a day?
Oh, the real drama. It's like searching for proxy stargates. It's not a bad idea. Or maybe just make sure his probe doesn't die. I mean, either way.
Either way, he went for a cannon rush. That's about as judgy as I'm gonna get. Like, where's Sheezel, dude? Sheezel would have done this right. Sheezel probably could have taken on Zest in a cannon rush. Classic
Yeah.
is some things to learn from the NA
This isn't-
Master.
It's not even that great of a cannon rush map, is it? Like, I was never a cannon rusher, ever. But there's like some maps where you can get like the mineral line behind it, and there's like even more space, dead space that goes like, I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be that cool. Like, what was the map that was really good for it last season or 2 seasons ago? New Gettysburg. We saw a lot of it actually.
Oh yeah, you do
there's a
that
different
from, like,
map
the
in
third
GSL.
base too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheezel stopped cannon rushing sad face. I know, he started playing Terran. He's like trying to like do bunkers and weird things. But let's be honest, guys. Anyone who watches Sheezel, I don't think you watch for his gameplay. You watch for his fucking green screens. That guy's hilarious. But anyways, Zest not really in a position to move in and kill, but is certainly in a position to enjoy this lead that he's kind of gotten. Now the Stalkers here are really outnumbered, but the fact that Classic gets the snipe one for what feels like free. Okay, there's the repercussion.
Yeah. It just made like the robot death sounds in Protoss really loud nowadays.
I didn't notice. I'll try and pay attention.
Because they just like they die, sure, right? There's a whole like,
Well, were they ever alive in the first place?
oh my god, whoa! But they seem to be like a lot more mechanical when they die.
Do
Like, I'm
androids
freaking out, man.
dream of electric sheep?
Androids dream like humans, because aren't androids like part human?
No, you're thinking like cyborg.
No, because like Android 18.
Oh,
Literally
I
what I
see.
based
You're
my
using
technology
Dragon
off.
Ball Z logic here.
It's what I base my technology off of.
I'm thinking here like Isaac Asimov, and you're going Dragon Ball Z. Well, on that note, do all androids fall in love with Krillin? Is that how that's gonna work?
I thought an android was like part human or mostly human, but a cyborg was like a human that's been mostly made into a robot. But I think I'm like totally wrong in this.
Yes, an android is a robot. Like the end. Your phone.
Oh, really, that was a mistranslation.
Your phone is literally an android. Is it part human?
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Alright, this is kind of clever seeing the Oracle for the scout, but I don't imagine Classic gets spooked by this. Only one android fell in love with Krillin, but it's also the only android that's alive, so just saying. Technically, all androids are in love with Krillin.
Android 17 comes back. It's kind of alive.
You could use the warp prison to power
Oh,
the
yeah,
cannon.
why isn't he powering that? Wait, no. I thought that looked close enough to power. That was kind of weird.
I thought that was, it's got such a tight range though, so maybe that was the case. That was an
Sentry's
amazing
freaked.
disruptor hit that should not have been that amazing, by the way.
That's funny. If Classic brings this game back, I swear. I swear.
Well, I think the thing is, like, when you've got a disruptor, you can. the magic of this matchup. We see it with Banlings and Zerglings on tier 1, but it's more like Protoss for tier 3. You bring out this Disruptor, and it can actually change the game with one good hit.
Yeah, it's definitely a very smart move from Classic to bring the game back, because usually Cannon Rush fails and you just tap out. But I still think Zest might be dead to me if he loses. That wasn't so bad. Better splits.
I think your reaction to Zest losing this game would be really, really an overreaction.
Dead to me. 3-0 by Classic and lost to a Cannon Rush game. But not
A
to the
Cannon Rush game
itself.
that didn't end up being a Cannon Rush either.
It's even worse, Drifkin. It's even worse.
Why have we been at Marcos? Rip?
Yeah. This is no good. The Warp Prism dies though, and then Blink is about halfway down for Zest, so he'll probably be able to take care of this, and that would be such a relief. This really is what Classic is depending on. Why would you put it behind there? There's so... I judge Classic a little bit for that. Warp Prism barely lives though.
He's so proud of me.
That's... Oh god.
I wish these guys would just talk about the game and how that Warp Prism got picked off, though.
I'm still of the belief that Zest should be winning this game.
Well, what's interesting is the disruptor element of it aside for just a moment, the army supplies really aren't super far off. I mean, Zest is actually ahead in supply, yes, but that is the difference of warp in staggering. So I actually think Classic, like a decent, not even a great, a decent disruptor hit, a couple of good trades, warps in defensively. Zest has no Warp Prism, right?
He's gonna have one soon anyways.
Yeah, so my point is, like, this is a fight that Classic might actually be able to take. Especially with an overcharge between the back pocket.
Yeah, Zest should be a little more careful. There we go. It seems to be Zest's time to shine, however. He's kind of wanting to push in here. I think Classic might just be too good defensively. I'd say he's getting a faster third base, but no, Classic already has his too.
Yeah. Like, there's not... So it's interesting, because it's not really macro leads for Zest, per se. It's army. And that army is... I don't know how long that'll last.
I like this from Zest. He's got a bigger bank. He's been able to get, bigger army supply. More workers even still. Investing in Noble Stargate, I think, is going to be worth it, as opposed to trying to catch back up into Disruptors. Classic got away with it last game because he just pounced on Zest's 4 Disruptors, and it was super impressive, but Zest not banking the same thing, going to go more of the safe path. Phoenixes, pick him up.
This is some good dancing in the mineral line.
I can't about to finish, though.
How did this game turn into a macro game, asks Marcos in chat. And I got the same question, man. I was hoping you would have the answer.
Classic defended Zest's push, and then Classic went for Disruptor drop, which kept Zest back at home.
I actually really like Zest. So I got to give it to Zest here. The double Stargate I actually like a lot. He recognizes that Disruptors are like a big difference maker in the game. And the best thing you can do is, even if the Phoenix are going to die for it, just lift them in the sky. It puts them on a nearly 1 minute cooldown. You take out the core of Classic's army for a full minute. That's like stasis trapping a whole gateway army.
Pretty good. Even the charge is going to help a little bit, because again, the charge lots ideally are on top of the Disruptors before they even get hit. And ideally, again, they also clump pretty badly, so sometimes they're the worst thing to have. But Zest is really getting an anti-Classic army. I don't know if Classic is setting up for 4th base or just getting to scouting over here, but pylon. If he gets enough Disruptors, there's still a chance that even 2 shots go off. That's it still could be a substantial difference. That's kind of what he's gonna have to be hoping for. He's got a second Robo on the way. He's still down in supply, but not by leaps and bounds.
Sorry, awkward silence, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on in the chat. We're having issues with the bot?
Consciousness awakened.
Testing? Oh, he was asking for volunteers earlier. That's right.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just randomly timing people out like nuts, and I was like, what's going on? We got mod going rogue? He's like so proud that he never messed up the bets. They start banning everybody. It's like even worse.
He's banning all bad jokes.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't clued into this. So forgive me and ignore me. Colossus though. Wait a minute. What? Sorry, I looked away for a moment. This is weird because the
I guess
Phoenix
they can't be picked up.
yeah, but they can be shot by the Phoenix. So yeah, they can't be picked up, but it's the same problem presented.
The genius move. No, it's a little bit questionable, but I do think it's interesting, however, because that gives the Phoenix two choices. Do they kill the Colossus or do they lift the Disruptors? They can't do both.
Well,
not all of them.
That is a good point. Like, there's going to be considerable damage on the ground. And in the past, Colossus, like, we rewind time before Disruptors were made, Colossus were the big focal point of the matchup. Things like Zealots and even Stalkers will melt if there's, like, 4 beams coming at them with, you know, the extended Thermal Lance. I want to make this clear. Like, Classic's army it's certainly risky, but it's good. And unless Zest actually takes this engagement almost perfectly, it's not going to be an easy one to take. Like, both players have the tools to win this next fight. A lot of this is going to come down to control and skill.
I'm not sure either one will force a fight. I would think that Zest would be the one to force a fight. Classic's obviously been on the back, end of everything here.
Well, actually, it's funny. Zest doesn't need to, though. He's on a 4th base. It's Classic who's going to feel pressure to take that fight.
It's like it's a weird situation here where they both could possibly try and end the game, but both are probably better off not.
Oh.
Well, at least Classic until he gets maxed out, at least. That's the one thing he's probably waiting for is 200-200, and then he could push. And it's got to happen, honestly, because if Zest gets to carriers and a Mothership, he would have had the better composition.
The Mothership's really interesting, actually, a lot. On one hand, like, Classic can just blind fire underneath it. You don't need to see what you're shooting if you have enough disruptor shots, right? But it does present this really big, hard-to-kill thing, and there's not a lot of anti-air for Classic. His army isn't that Stalker-heavy. But he's split coming into this fight. I don't know about this. Yeah, backing away is best option.
I thought he knew the army was there. That was questionable. It's still happening, too. All right, so he takes the 4th base so that it's closer to Zest, and this, if he was pressuring, would be really, really good, but his army is now entirely out of position because he just has no scouting. Oh, because the Stalker was there, but also because he has no scouting. Like, Zest has had control of the map for a very long time. Classic not even able to get into, like, harassment in since the early Disruptor drop. And again, if Zest is able to trade, get a 5th base, go to mass air, his army will be getting better and better, whereas Classic is stuck on pretty much purely ground.
Yeah, Zest is also just finished up his +3, so now they are on equal upgrades. I love the hallucinations. He's killing some of his army to make room for better ones. Like, sentries really are not that important right now. I like killing those. Yeah. But this is really interesting for a lot of different reasons. You got storms, you got feedbacks, you got whatever, but the hallucinations to make sure that they're not easily picked up. Like, those Phoenix are going to come in and maybe pick up 3 or 4 wrong disruptors, fake disruptors.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. It looks like he won't be able to utilize it, though, and he just killed the sentries, so womp, womp.
But that's the thing. Like, you're going to kill the sentry, so use them before you lose them type thing. And I thought that was a really cool idea.
It could have been a really cool engagement, actually, yeah. But he doesn't have an observer as far as I can see. He's building one right now. Well, good on him.
Revelation.
Oh, no. What? Oh, well, no, that's Zest who has Revelation.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant. My bad. Either way, none of that seems to matter because this fight is so good for Zest and so bad for Classic.
Well, is it?
Well, you know what? Actually, hold on. That left side did a lot better than I expected. I just saw him getting flanked from the right with the Immortals and the Mothership coming in to kill the Colossus. But his Immortals on the left side of the Classic are holding strong, and Zest is the one who's actually losing this fight.
Classic is going to take out the Mothership core, but there are still Phoenixes and Stalkers on the ground.
Well, there's no Mothership.
No, that's his Immortal.
There's no Mothership core. I'm just going to put that out there.
He's going to the Mothership. The Phoenixes can crowd control, but Zest just lost his army.
And the thing is, what he's left with can't stop the counterattack. You cannot lift up all these units and kill. Like, he either has to lift them up and crowd control them or kill them. And either way, it takes too long and too much. So this fight, there's only like a cannon and a handful of Zealots. The Immortals still stand strong. Classic looking to push in and kill this 4th base.
Okay. But the observer just pointed out there's 13 gateways, so a lot of charge on being warping.
Yeah, no recall available, unfortunately. This storm would have been really nice.
Yeah, right? Well, like, the Zealots aren't really being that super effective, but they're not dying easily either. Adepts come in, and they might take the fight now.
They're kind of like...
He's got more reinforcements. There we go.
The
17
Immortal keeps
Stalkers.
getting lifted and not dead. It's finally going down. Phoenix take out the War Prism. That's huge. Disruptor's lifted. Classic's attack is going to stop here.
Okay, and Classic, I think, might have we didn't lose the game. That does make things look better.
Zest, I want to point out, Zest went from like 4K minerals or something like that down to like less than 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he exhausted his bank defending. I don't know that he really has the capability of making some crazy army that pushes to win, but he does have a better army supply. I don't know what's going on with Classic, why he's not spending his money. Maybe it's just the gas problem here, but he's on like 20 army supply.
He never got charged. He was trying to warp in massive depths, which, you know, they're not that much of a gas investment. They don't have so much, and he never got charged. So his zealot warp ins suck. Zest, I think, does win this just because gateway armies are bigger for him.
Well, what's dumb is Zest should win this just because of this game is a
well,
cannon rush.
How this game went, right? Like in the battle going in favor. Like, really, I mean, if the Phoenixes weren't involved, he might have still won. If the charge lots weren't, if he had 8 gateways instead of 13, the Depths might have won. Like, this is.
Let's real talk about this for a second. About that. Like that good game, Zest wins, whatever. But like the real talk of this is that was a game Zest should never have lost. There should never have even been a close call. But there was like 2 different fights that made that game make you go like, is Zest gonna lose this?
Right? I don't know how happy you are about winning that game with how much went on. But he didn't die, so he's got to be at least happy about that. That was his last game potentially.
And that's the point going into game 4. Zest is still on his last life. Classic got to dick around because he was up 2-0. And I think the cannon rush is actually a very legitimate move on top of your position in the series. So, I mean, he's probably a little bit frustrated because he lost that game, sure. I just hope he can remember that like he never should have won that game in the first place, though.
I think there were many maps for Cactus and Warhol. No, they played on Warhol. Cactus and Honor Grounds. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Cactus. I feel like no, actually it's PvP Honor Grounds. Let me see Honor Grounds for this one.
I really don't know what their preference would be. I can't call it. I do wonder what's coming out of their BenQ monitor though.
Probably.
What does that stick?
Really high quality. I don't know.
Sponsor us, please.
It's a pay monitor, so like that's where you insert the giant Korean quarter and like stick it into the monitor.
Makes that sound too.
Yeah. That, logically, it's the only Occam's razor, right?
I have seriously no idea what it is.
Rifkin backwards is Kitty the Neko, yeah. Damn it! I should have stuck with Cactus Valley on my first guess.
Yeah, you should have.
Rifkin's hair is quite dashing at the moment. Do you like it? Guys, I cut my own hair. I'm not so conscious. Thank you for saying that.
Your hair looks fine.
Hey, top right, it's going to be the Red Protoss Classic, leading 2-1 in the series.
The bottom left, the Blue Protoss, he is Zest.
Leoman asks, BaseTradeTV and Soundgrub, you want to play some co-op after stream? Guys, after this week's co-op mutation, I actually am considering...
I think he means Mass Effect.
That would make more sense. I was gonna say that this wasn't me gonna advertise our YouTube anyways, right? Like if you guys miss any of the games, you want to catch any of this stuff, always go to youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. But we did upload our mutations for co-op StarCraft this week, and my God, it made me never want to play co-op ever again. Like, it's not that it was hard because we lost a million times. We've had harder weeks than this, but I just thought that I truly, genuinely thought the design for this week's mutation was horrible, and the mutation combination's not so bad. The fact that there's no protection to stop widow mines from spawning in your mineral line is just lazy and bad, and it made me really, really sad that they let that happen.
Difficult is a constant grueling battle, and that's fun difficult. When it's like instantaneous, you're dead difficult, then it's just like, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
But also the widow mines in your mineral line suck too.
They've
also
let a lot of weird bugs slip through. Like there's that one where it was Wheel Misfortune, and you could get like an invulnerable building that would just soak all the hits for the rest of the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's been a couple. But overall it's actually been very, very good. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it. Like mission every week is really something every week has been unheard of for the last 5 years of StarCraft. And then they did the balance reports bi-weekly and then co-op. So I'm fine with it. But apparently that thing was to hang your headphones on. That just blows my mind.
That would make sense, actually.
I guess the monitor's sturdy enough.
I like to believe that Koreans have giant comical-sized quarters, though. So I'm gonna stick with that one, and that somehow a pay-to-use monitor.
You had Korean money in your hands.
Have I though? What if that's just the money they give foreigners so that they don't touch and ruin the real money?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Because you wouldn't know either, right?
God.
Being a foreigner.
Oh, you're right. All the people I know in Korea are for. Okay, anyways. Yeah. Can I play Mass Effect without dragging everyone down since I've already just started?
Yeah, you just play bronze. Work your way
Okay.
up. But also, this makes more sense because Korean clothes and fashion, they're designed with like tiny little pockets, so you couldn't put anything practical in anyways because they don't need to keep any change in there because the quarters are so big they wouldn't fit in the first place.
Are guys' Korean clothes not as equally big pockets as girls' Korean clothes are to girls in foreign?
Look, I don't know.
clothing?
I'm just assuming they wear super tight pants and they're super fashionable, okay? And have like
yes, everyone
girl
in Korea is
equivalent
super
of fake
fashionable.
pockets and buttons and
True.
whatnot.
This isn't really like, you know what? No, this is totally not even related to the game. I'm not even going on this rant, but whatever. So there's a lot of scouting going on. I think everyone is a little bit paranoid about proxy pylons, not just for Stargates early on, but also just for pressure, because you can chrono out, you know, warp gate and stalkers and try and do something, but not the case for anyone. Classic gets he loses 5 zone probes actually. Yeah, that's how that works. No, he killed 5 Zest probes. Okay, yeah, so Classic does get the benefit of the Adept run bias.
Yeah, 5 to 2, so 23 workers to 21. Zest is a little bit behind for this, but you know, the series has been really weird so far, all things considered. This is about as normal as it gets.
Yeah. No, not a cannon rush and not a double proxy, so.
Last time I was at Cactus Valley, I saw 2 Cyclones kill themselves. It was really
That was pretty
stupid.
funny. Just the fact that it happened twice. You know?
I didn't connect it until I saw the Reddit thread comment where someone was like, this looks like something out of a Carbot animation. I'm like, it does. This is exactly the type of stupid, silly thing that would happen in Carbot.
Yep. We do have a Dark Shrine, so not a proxy, but still a little bit cheesy, with a Warp Prism, and Classic has gone for Resident Enclaves. You do get a Warp Prism, or a Robo eventually, for Classic side of things, but obviously not as early as a you know, a macro with Immortals build, so it's really a question of when, and does he get the Observer out first? I don't think Zest would bank on winning the game off of this, you know, just doing good damage, but it could happen. Oracle's gonna pre-scout and also maybe give Classic the wrong idea. This is actually super good for Zest. He's gonna see a lot of Adepts, and I think that many Adepts is already a little suspicious. They're probably hoping they have a Twilight Council with Adept Resident Enclaves finishing. Oh, he's gonna scout it too. No Robo. Zest, he might be in trouble too, though. I mean, it's kind of like a weird dynamic going on here where they both are gonna be able to kill each other's mineral lines very quickly. Zest is going to scout the Robo being built. I think that's worth sniping. And then if he walls off his main base, he won't lose his main to Adepts. And I think that's what he's going to do. Oh, no, he pulled the probes, but he didn't wall off his main. Huh. On Zest's side of things, that is.
Yeah, maybe it's just easier to consolidate around a single pylon, right?
By
the way, he's trying to do the surround thing here to make sure that this doesn't get to actually get the hits that he wants it to, but unfortunately... Yeah, it's going to die. Even if it finishes, it won't build in time. Other side of the map, we do have the attack go down as we see, and the Adepts are trying to trade up, but the Immortals and Stalkers and the Overcharge hold. And the Force Field! Are you for real? But hang on, is that going to buy him enough time? Second DT comes in.
DT.
Oh, big deny!
I still think Classic loses. Sentries get 2 shot.
Oh,
there you go. Get in there. Get in there.
So close to saving it.
Oh my god.
That was almost so sick. He puts the Robo elsewhere, though.
Proxy Robo. Yeah, this is what you gotta do. It's a good thing he put a proxy pylon down.
Mother of God. He actually pulls everything from this. And the thing is, like, I'm actually not entirely convinced that even if you get the detection out, you can win the game with what he has. Like, there's an Immortal, there's Overcharge, there's like... Zest actually has a really solid defense.
Yeah, Zest would still win the army fight, is the trick. So it's not just about surviving. DTs make fun games.
Kills the Nexus with the probes. Nicely done. Now that the Observer's out, he can start walking us back home. The Classic has gotten so desperate with this. He's bled out so much. It's not worth going back to macro, I feel. But it is 1 base to 2, and that might just be where his reasoning is.
That makes it interesting. It's 1 base 32 probes, 2 base 17 probes, though. So it's like, Eh? He's the main observer. He's gonna be able to clean the DTs. There's a longer game here than just tapping out, but damn. It's so weird. Don't know what happens.
I feel like if this goes anything close to the way we've seen it before, you're like, Zest should lose, but then we'll win accidentally.
Oh, I didn't really. I guess this makes sense. I went over how Zest is a higher army supply, so him attacking in a classic would probably end the game. I just figured he might be too scared. Like, this game was so weird, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe just stay at home, but no, attacking should do it. Only one pylon.
Pulls the
Scares
probes. He's got no money. Classic is out, guys. Like, make no mistake. I wish we had player cameras on. I don't know why we don't. But,
GG. Oh, yeah. We
GG.
had it before. Huh.
They're really inconsistent with the player cameras, and I'm not sure why. But anyways, Zest ties it up, and we actually do go to Game 5 again. I thought today was going to be like a 3-0 and a 3-0 back-to-back. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
We also have been. We wanted Bjol, and we guessed Bjol would win. He ended up losing, so we thought Classic would win.
Shit. The
History
caster
repeats
curse.
itself. Oh my god.
Just cute little Korean water bottles. Those are free on the train. Hello, Apollo. We miss you.
He had to go get his food stuff. He waits along with all the other cats for wet food, but really what he wants is a treat.
Hey, what's up, pig? How's it going, man? Man,
Hi, Pig.
this has been the weirdest series for sure, and it's gonna take somebody like Pig to break it down. It's just a shame we can't give him replays because we don't get them ourselves, not casting the game. But yeah, Zest and Classic, this PvP has been all over the place, and we find ourselves now going to Game 5. One map remains, and it's Honor Grounds.
It's not polite. Yeah. I mean, the map choices have been, you know, kind of like just question marks anyways, because it's a mere matchup.
I just want to note as we load into the game, by the way, that this is the last VSL match we'll be casting, and I don't mean just like tonight. Going forward, Maynard and Zeph will be covering all the VSL matches, so you guys can look forward to them coming here. They'll still be casting on BaseTradeTV, but it'll be them, not us. Top right side of the map, ace match time, guys. It's the Red Protoss Classic.
In the top left is Blue Protoss. He is Zest.
Pig says, hey, Rifkins, I'm just tuned in a bit late, but yeah, both guys gambling a bit that last one. Pig, then you missed the game beforehand
Yeah.
where Classic cannon rushed, failed miserably, and almost won the game with it. Despite
Right, like,
being
there's-
so far behind.
That last game was pretty indicative of what the series has been about, so
Yeah, it's been all over
I
the
can watch
place.
this.
It's almost unfortunate, though, because you got to wonder, like, rewinding time, that cannon rush game on Belshir at a Classic, was it something he was doing because he actually had a lead of 2-0 and said, I can make this risk? Or do you think that was like actually something he had tailored and built for that map specifically?
I do wonder, because as I said, I'm not a cannon rusher. I don't know what the good cannon rush maps are anymore. I knew New Gettysburg was one, but this map, well, I have no idea.
I mean, if it's something where that was a tailored build, I respect it. But if that was something where he's screwing around, then right now here in Game 5, he's probably wishing he really didn't.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, oh god. Yeah, and then he did do a risky build last game. He pretty much do that build that he did, the Resident Glaze build, and you're like, wow, I really hope he doesn't DT rush me. That's like the one thing that would really screw me over. And, well, that's what happened. So.
Gas steal is nasty.
It is. It's very annoying. The fact that he got a scout so fast.
But look what he does, right? He took the Nexus quick, so because of this, he puts the assimilator down at the natural and saying, yeah, I'll just take my guess here then. Classic.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a wang.
It's a bit delayed for sure, but it is the easiest way out than any other builds you would usually have. And on Honor Grounds, this is totally something you could expect from a Protoss player in PvP, is for them to try and get the faster third base, or natural base rather. They get a gateway, Nexus, then 2 extra gateways. Their production really isn't that bad, as long as they survive the initial like adept push or that soccer push or whatever, which Classic isn't even doing. Well, this looks suspicious. I would expect like 7 adepts to run in right now.
I feel like this whole series can be summarized like that too. Well, this looks
Suspicious.
suspicious. Like
Yeah.
the first game especially, the double proxies. Like I'm just, what's that emote where it's like not like this, right? Like this is literally
Yeah,
what I was
no.
doing while we're casting that game. But this is also, by the way, I want to point out Classic's building on the right side of this wall.
So, yeah, it looks like it looked like, until you saw the motion core coming across the map, that he was just trying to like maybe ensure there was an open pathway for, again, like adepts, but he didn't make that many adepts. He's got a Stargate on the way. No, it's to tear down something important from Zest, distract him potentially, and then get to the probe line. It's so silly though. He's gonna lose his mother. This classic isn't working. He barely saves his mothership. That's gonna be work sniping. Yeah, totally. Oh my god.
The overcharge fight right now reminds me of like early Legacy of the Void. Of course, we're still figuring this out, but the overcharge actually opens the door for the adept to get
It's
in.
not-
If there was more behind this would be so much more dangerous, but there's
Right.
not. Like that's full stop. Classic's attack is done.
Exactly. Like this wasn't really worth the committal. You know, you see the wall being like halted, and you're like, oh my god, what if it's like 7, 8 adepts? But there's no way he would have been able to get that many. Even if he had Chronoboost from the very beginning, the pylon block, the delay his next to take a little bit. He's forced to take the outside one. I think Classic's really nervous now. This Oracle's got something to do, man. And Zest is accommodating. Yeah, he knows. I'm not sure he scouted the Stargate. His probe was in that main base for a while, but either way, like, prepare. God. This is the exact opposite of that first game. When we were like, Zest, just tap out, man.
Yeah,
Lose his units, lose this War Prism.
yeah.
Just Classic, just like, oh, Classic, no.
Well, Classic started off this series so strong. It's actually really sad seeing this come down to like a dwindled finish. And I mean, the one thing that is great, regardless of how this goes, right? Like, it's not over yet, all that, but this has been a surprisingly close series, despite how cheesy and dumb it's been. And I don't mean in terms of score that 2-2, but like, again, watching Classic win an almost unwinnable game, the failed proxy, and I don't know. I almost wish this was a best of 7, not a best of 5. You know what I mean?
And it would have been a reverse kill of 4 games.
Maybe.
No, I get you. That is both Oracles down. That is just Classic realizing how dead he is. He's no longer got any scouting. He doesn't have any chance to threaten Zest to come back home. And he's getting a Void Ray, which will be helpful against the Stalkers that Zest will be building up here with Blink. But it's like, I think he might just have too many Blink Stalkers. I mean, Zest could either attack and have too many Blink Stalkers, or he could just macro. Like, either way, he's going to be in a good position. I think macroing and letting Classic get to mass Void Rays is the way that Zest could potentially lose this game, though. Second Stargate, Classic's just got to go for the... He's got to go all in, man, on the different style of tech here. This is becoming more and more popular in PvP as a build, don't get me wrong, but it really feels like in this game it's just like what he's Hail Marrying with. That's a verb now.
We've actually been using that phrase a lot. So first off, it's weird watching this get knocked down of all buildings, right?
That's his mistake.
But I'm wondering, is Hail Mary like actually a phrase that makes sense to non-natively English speakers?
Maybe like more like to non-football players. And if you, as someone who doesn't really watch football or sports, realize what Hail Mary is, I think it's ingrained enough in culture. So, because you never, I guess you don't describe something as Hail Marrying if it's just because they start praying.
As you say, it's originally like a religious thing, right? Like,
yeah, you just like start praying though. You don't say that person throwing a Hail Mary. That's literally a football term. It's the only thing I'd ever do in Blitz 2000, and my brothers hated it because it had like a surprisingly high effectiveness. So every down, and I would never punt on 4th downs, which is what you're supposed to do. I would just Hail Mary. I should have been a pro at that game.
meanwhile, over in... Actually, hold on. I was going to keep getting silly, but I do want to draw attention to the fact that it's double Void Ray. I thought this was going to be continued Phoenix production because we just see it so much more commonly, I suppose. But Void Rays can do a surprising amount of damage and might just be able to catch Classic, or excuse me, Zest with like a sudden oh my god move. Because these also aren't going to be dependent on upgrades the same way Stalkers and everything else will be.
Oh boy, he needs he needs more Stalkers on either front. That's true. So far, Zest is unable to crack Classic, but Adepts might bring back 1 or 2 Void Rays, and that I think would leave Classic without too much of a defense at the front. There's the 2 Void Rays. Mortals overcharge. It's not that many Blink Stalkers. I think Classic is held on 2 bases, and luckily for him, Autogrounds gives him a pretty easy third.
Yeah, but the surprise element of these Void Rays has been kind of stripped away. Well, you might have been surprised by 1 or 2. Seeing 5, that's kind of crazy, actually. I like that he doesn't prismatically align all of them, by the way. He knew he'd catch that Warp Prism without it, so that's really nice to see. Still got about 2 of them, should he need them for the fight.
So Classic manages to keep the supplies even, but that is also because, I was going to say, Zest is banking a little bit here, waiting for his Templar Archives to finish. But Zest has gone for Resident Enclaves. Those aren't that helpful against air, if you didn't know. But they're not bad against Immortals, I guess. And Classic has not gone full board, double Stargate, triple Stargate. So I kind of wish Classic had. I kind of wish he played the Void Ray in a mass carrier. Just defend, turtle on 3 bases.
We've seen it work before. It's so tough to pull off, though.
But Zest it feels like this game is just the series has been about whoever's more aggressive gets the worst trade.
Yeah.
For Zest, it was, that Newkirk game and then the Warp Prism that failed. Classic had the Cannon Rush that failed. This game, too. It's just, I don't know. He is going for Disruptors, which are still, a power unit.
I really like that Void Ray is left patrolling, too, expecting another Warp Prism to come in. I think that's a really smart move.
And he's on Resident Enclaves. So, you don't usually get to talk about this anymore, but it is, I guess, important to bring up here. They both have Resident Enclaves, I believe. I don't think Zest canceled his. He's still working in the Adept. So if that's true, then +2 actually makes 1 less shot for the Adept versus Adept war.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you used to have to talk about that a lot because it used to be Adept versus Adept all the time, but then PvP has been a roller coaster of styles and compositions.
Yeah, it's been so much on Blink Stalkers and Disruptors that we saw Adepts kind of fall off to the wayside. Zest going for double Stargates behind this, by the way, and he is actually going to sneak by to the main with that Warp Prism. Oh, poor Void Ray is not quite in position.
That's a lot of Adepts. I don't know if probe losses at this point in time are too crucial though, unless he gets 20 or 30.
Well,
which he's starting to.
You can always argue though, as long as nobody's maxed out, where probe losses are always going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's true. Zest going for double Stargate is going to be able to kind of counter those Disruptors, but I guess Classic and also
that was actually a really sick move. Canceling the Warp-In was huge. While this goes on though, he continues to warp with so many units, and Zest is just bullying him with his macro. Classic just doesn't have the money to match these Warp-Ins. He doesn't have upgrades on his favor the same way. This ends up being a little bit awkward. But this killed 26 probes. Classic got super wrecked behind this.
He did. It was almost 30. That's pretty brutal. These last
Nexus.
probes going forward here is going to make it 30, and Classic just is... this is really bad. This is... He was making his way back, man. I believe in his composition a little bit, but even then, it was questionable.
He still hasn't dealt with the Warp Prism in the top right, so another wave of Adepts come in.
He can't tap out now, though. I feel like he wants to. It's already such a hard-fought game.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Classic, I'm tilted, but he's keeping his calm, all things considered. But.
I mean, Zest has almost thrown away... He almost threw away that cannon game, so there's always a chance here. Messes up the Phoenix lifts on the Disruptors. Maybe he throws his Adepts into a Disruptor. So, it kind of hinges on the Disruptor for sure, but it could happen. It's 47 probes kill.
It's so hard to look at that. It's so difficult to look at that.
It's so good. He dealt so well with the first Warp Prism too. It was the sneaky one to the right side that really tripped him up, and it does it again.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Void Ray should be able to take this out really quick, but the problem is the Adepts still got unloaded, or I guess warped in anyways. And this false pressure at the front means that he can never really pull back his army to properly deal with those Adepts, and this Nexus was so low from earlier, it's actually going to go down this time. He needs this base.
Zest can't push forward though, which is so funny. Like he does need this base, but Zest can't end the game quite yet. I mean, to be fair, okay, he has used about 25 adepts.
Bottom left.
Oh, a hidden base. I like that. He might be able to get this as a third and his other third base as a fourth, but at some point, okay, Zest used about 25 adepts, right? Like that was a lot of adepts that he eventually ended up losing. That's why he's not maxed out yet. But he does still have a bigger army supply. If he continued to be too afraid to push and kill Classic,
well, this is
that's what Classic has to hope for. But Zest is positioning here. Well, this he's gonna go for it.
Like he needed the Phoenix to be in a high enough number that he could lift up the Disruptors, but the Disruptors are just kind of left out in the open anyways.
They were just anyways. Okay, well that's game.
That's it. That's not just the game. It's the series and Zest. You know what? We may have talked a lot about him not having good results and like being questionable in the matchup. 2-0 start for Classic made it look like that we were right dead on, but I couldn't be more wrong. Zest takes the series 3-2. What an incredibly weird PvP. That didn't go any way the way I thought that was going to go after that second game. Like game 1, game 2 was, I feel like okay, the proxy was weird, but as expected score-wise. Feels a little bit bad for Classic, of course. I think he played really well, even in his losses.
Super. That was a treat for a best of 5, I guess. It's a treat for the senses.
Both games going to game 5 was a treat, actually. I didn't expect that to be the case at all. I thought today, again, it was going to be like a 2-hour broadcast, and I feel like waking up was such a waste. But we ended up having a ton of people come join us. It was a lot of fun. And Raina, what's up, girl? How you doing?
You gonna tweet that poem you made?
She looks pretty torn up over that matchup too. I think she was also cheering for Classic.
Are you sure? I mean, because Zest is Zest.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine that she doesn't have a big crush on him.
Maybe she was hoping that she would be able to console Zest. I got this.
All right, guys. So let's talk about what's coming up next. We're gonna go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna actually do a sort of like, I don't want to call it a talk show. That's not the right phrase, but we're going to actually discuss some of the WCS events that happened recently. And I think we'll cover both the topics of the cheating, the hacking, the map hacking, and then the Scarlet and No Regrets rule breaking that wasn't really rule breaking. And we'll just share our thoughts and opinions on them. So I will let you guys know before we get into this, we are not the most educated people, but there was enough discussion going on earlier that I would definitely like to talk about on stream. So we'll go to commercial for a couple of minutes and be back soon. It's a talk show. It's not a talk show. All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. As you can see, they're doing the winner's interview, but there's no audio, and we can't really do much about it anyway. So we're just going to get rid of this and go into our own, I guess, chat of things.
Oh,
so
one thing, though, before we get in the chat for that. Okay. The VSL isn't on next week.
No, there's a break, and then it's back. So, again, for those who don't know, either way, we won't be coming back for it. It's going to be Maynard and Zeph covering the rest of the VSL matches going forward. They'll still be doing it on BaseTradeTV, and you guys won't miss any of the action, English coverage here. But yeah, Maynard and Zeph, and they're a great combo. They're really fun. They're awesome. For people asking what's going on, though, it is over. So the round of 8 was only 2 best of 5s, and when they come back, not next week, but the week after, it'll be 2 more best of 5s, then the semifinals, then the finals. And apparently the same day finals, they do group draw. Or excuse me, the team drawing or whatever it's called, the phrase, because this VSL individual league actually leads into the VSL team league, which a lot of you guys may remember that more clearly because that was the big thing from last year. But anyways, there's a couple different topics to discuss here, and one of them we'll get through quickly because it's already been like dealt with, like come gone and happened. And for those who don't know, during the WCS NA qualifiers, Avilo played somebody who was allegedly map hacking. Now, I say allegedly because this guy has a pretty notorious history, and there seems to be no doubt that this guy at some point in his life map hacked, right? Or cheated or whatever. I'm going to change the title of the stream here. Talk show, after show. I don't know. There we go. So, when this happened, obviously realizing who he was playing against in WCS, Avilo made a commotion. He also started being very toxic and slandering casters, but that's beside the point for the time being. Because from what Blizzard's ruling was, at the time that this match was being played, there weren't map hacks being used, right? And this kid, like the question, like one of the big questions here is like, you've got somebody who's young and stupid, and you're 13 and you're using map hacks because you think it's cool and edgy, and you're like just trying to piss people off, right? But then you grow up, and maybe it's 3 years later, maybe it's 2 years later, maybe it's a year later, but at some point you have that moment of clarity where you're like, oh, what I'm doing is actually not okay, and if I do want to actually do something with StarCraft, I have to stop. And it's for me personally, it's killer watching how many people are willing to advocate like, oh, life was match fixing, that's okay, we still love him, bring him back. But you're like, oh, a 13-year-old fucking cheated, like, oh, he should just kill himself, like, it's ridiculous. And like there's just such this crazy difference in the way people are receiving this situation. I'm of the opinion, like, once a map hacker, always a map hacker. I never want to see that guy play again, right? But I definitely agree that people can change. I just don't know whether this guy has or hasn't, you know?
Yeah. I don't actually know that much more about that controversy. I know that a ruling was made, and I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, so the ruling was made. Basically, Avilo cannot qualify through the online qualifiers, but he can go to DreamHack and actually play at Austin physically to play if he wants to play for WCS. And that's because of his like attitude and the way his language was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
The kid, though, was just like straight up, no, you're done. You can't play anything. You fuck off. Like, no cheating is cool or tolerable by Blizzard. And the thing is, like, there are some people who are happy and unhappy with the results of this thing. And I personally just seen Blizzard respond to it immediately, not spend a week deliberating, and then end up having this sort of like really half-assed, like, well, guys, next time, like, it's a pass this time. Like, they actually like put down the ruling, and I think that is such an important deal. And this relates back to us because, when we started banning players from our events, it's not something we like doing. Like, if I can, I don't want to ever ban anybody ever. But at some point, like, you have to kind of lay down the law, and you have to say things like, Solar, you fucked up an entire group and ruined like a tournament day. Like, you cannot play for 15 days. You cannot play for X many things. So I think Blizzard, being the much bigger version of like we are, obviously, they should, without a doubt, have no hesitation to actually enforce their rules, because it's not about like trying to punish players because they hate people and they don't want people playing StarCraft, but it is about more that you're saving everybody else around them by punishing those who are breaking the rules, right?
Yeah, I like that they were swift, and actually seeing what the results were, I think it's actually very good. I would agree with the punishment they gave both players.
So I use that, though, to specifically segue into this new topic. Now, before we talk about this one, I will note we only heard about this during the cast today, so we are not super well informed on this.
Yeah.
But there's a Reddit thread out there, and there's a lot of opinions on Twitter, so it's pretty quick to come to a conclusion of, like, what's going on here. And I guess I just finished doing the talking for that one. I'll let you TLDR the situation on this one.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, I actually did read the Reddit thread and a good amount of the Reddit responses.
Hang on. Just one sec. To cap off on that last one, because Marcos, I guess there's people in chat. I'm not reading chat. The kid who's getting punished, by the way, he did not map hack during WCS. Like, this much Blizzard official statement says, like, they checked and they looked into it, and there's just no indication, no data, nothing supports the fact that there was map hacks used in the tournament. But, like, there's account sharing that went on, and, like, previous people in other instances have done this and that and reported him in the past. Like, he's got a history that led up to all these things saying, like, yeah, this is not good. So to be clear, he didn't actually cheat on the day of the tournament, at least as far as everyone else is aware. Sorry, just to clear that up before I move on.
Right. So the new drama, I guess, that happened, controversy, is that some guy basically went through Scarlett's match history, which isn't like people do that, right? She had a really good win record, and it was like, oh, who is she beating on the Korean ladder, like, to be that good, or the NA ladder? I'm actually not sure which one, but the point is, she had a really good win record. So they go and check, and they realize that she had tied against someone named Amnesia, which is actually No Regrets alt account, like 5 times or something like that. So they like do a little more digging, and they confirm that it's No Regret, and they confirm that like it was from the get-go. It was like a 5-minute game. They just idled their drones and didn't play, and that causes the tiebreaker, or the tie, to come in.
And the question is, like, because there's been instances in the past for, like, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, 2 Chinese players were caught win trading, and
there's a lot of other examples about this, actually.
Yeah. Well, that was obviously the bigger one, but the point of this is, though, what they did, as far as I'm aware, at least looking at this from a glance, we haven't had time to like research this, right? It's like loopholey because they didn't technically break the rules. There was no win trading, which is specifically outlined as like you can't do this. It was stalemating, which I don't blame Blizzard for not having a rule against, because stalemates are so rare in the first place. You don't expect someone to do something like that. There's
like a ton of factors that go into it, actually. So first of all, right, technically there's no specific rule about that, but there are rules about influencing the ladder in a explicit, like something like that, right? And that did influence the ladder without straight up playing the game. So people were kind of calling like technicalities on that. And what Blizzard, the official stance, by the way, for Blizzard, by the way, it's already been announced. They're just going to change they're going to specify the rule.
Yeah,
and no one is going to be punished.
Like it's been adapted. Because I think the thing is, and this comes from our point of view too. We've learned a lot over the last like 3 years, guys, and like we've adapted our rules to compensate things that we didn't think we'd ever have to compensate or even fathom happening in the first place.
Yeah,
I have no issue with what Blizzard's doing, but there seems to be some people out for blood, and they think like, okay, Scarlet and Nogret should be punished, and it's like not fair because they're popular, so they're not being beaten, and blah blah blah. But the thing is, at the end of the day, like you take out all emotion, they did not technically break a rule. Like this rule didn't exist. So I think it's totally fair to say like, look guys, don't fucking do that again. Like that's not okay. We want you to know that it's not okay, but you didn't technically break any rules, so we can't punish you or enforce our own rules because they didn't exist in the first place.
Yeah. To be honest, this is kind of like, it is actually one of the more clear-cut cases, in my opinion, but there's so many other factors that I think is making it intriguing. So
this kind of is a part of a bigger problem though, right? Like the whole ladder qualifier issue that you have to play 15 games a day. And
if we're going to talk about that.
but this is probably directly related. I imagine the only reason it went like this was because like they're forced to play the games that they didn't necessarily want to play.
Okay, so here's the other thing that made it so weird. No, they both didn't need to do that. No Regret was already out. There's no way that drawing or even winning would have helped him.
Yeah, well, I didn't read that part.
Yeah. And Scarlet had already played the amount of games she needed to and was already such a good standing. There was no way, almost no way, she was going to be shot out of the qualification. So there was actually no reason for them to do it. And that's the point that a lot of people bring it up, and they're just like, well, why did they do it? So other people are bringing up the fact that they live near each other. They live with each other and near each other.
They play next to each other.
Literally next to each other. And that it would have just been in their best interest to be like, I don't want to play you. I can see your fucking monitor or whatever it is, right? And that's that. Like, they didn't think anything about rules. They're just like, I don't want to play this. Like, but I don't want to. They might have actually been thinking like, well, the last time someone auto left versus another player consistently, those people got in trouble.
Yeah, that's actually scary because there's some legitimacy to it, right? Like, yeah, if that's the win trading aspect, like you join a game, you find out you don't want to play this person, you can't just alt F4, and the thing is, stalemating, as dumb as it is, like you can either play that game out in full, but realistically you're perhaps wasting each other's time, and it's not worth wasting 20 minutes of a ZVZ that possibly goes whatever direction when there's nothing to game for it. So stalemating for 5 minutes because you know you'll get possibly banned any other way you play that out, like you literally just can't leave. It's actually not okay.
Yeah, so there's that complication too, and we don't they haven't said anything. Scarlett's only response to this has been a question mark to the original tweet. Like accusing. Yeah, so
here's the thing.
We don't know what they're thinking.
Going a little bit more personal with this, guys. Like, I have seen some of the worst sides of Scarlett over the last year, not just working with her, but also like as we've kind of been more or less friends and stuff. And I can tell you, even at her worst, I don't think she is the type of person to be malicious. Like, she's the type of person to find a fun loophole, do a race switch, whatever, right? But I guarantee you, there's never like I can't speak for Scarlett, right? And I'm not trying to, but from what I know of her, I cannot fathom a world where she went into this saying like, how can I cheat the system? And like rubbing the invisible soap in her hands. I just don't think it went down like that.
Yeah. There's also this other thing where like, so a lot of people, including some very like, high profile people who have been involved, I guess, in similar drama, have been talking about how this is again showing preference to popular players.
So that's the thing though. I really don't think it is. Like I really truly don't think that is.
Yeah, I want to explain like two things really quickly. One, people brought up the GSL thing as another case where popular players were looked over. And I don't even think Bjorn was that popular when he got the spot, despite not necessarily earning it. And Coco was totally slapped by
You know,
Slayers for doing it.
I saw someone write about this too, that the whole Beyond match fixing thing getting overlooked or whatever, and people saying it's like okay with it, but like Beyond never really was match fixing in the first place, and the fact that we're like here 3-4 years later and people still think that's the case, I think is just wrong, right?
That the whole thing was just like, it was stupid, and GSL not doing anything about it was probably the best way to go. Slayers, the team, was the one that banned Coca for 6 months from playing, because Boxer had gone through the whole match fixing thing and just like would take any shit basically. So, but that's my point is, explanations aside, it was totally different. And then the other thing is that I feel like what's actually happening is because it is about popular players, it's like there's a reverse effect where they're not getting any preferential treatment, but they are getting all the shit for being the potential of preferential treatment. You know what I mean?
Sounds like BaseTradeTV sometimes.
Like everyone like that is, you know, that wants to make an issue out of this is saying like it's because it's Scarlet and No Regret, and I'm like I think it's because of Scarlet and No Regret that you have to say it's because Scarlet and No Regret. I don't just think that that's the reason why they're doing it.
Well, the other part of it too is like on that level of popularity. Like if this was like you and me playing, nobody would have been looking at our match histories in the first place to find this out. Like if this was the case, does that mean we would have gotten away with this scot free? Like not necessarily, but it is like that unfortunate cross the bear where you're extra scrutinized because you're popular, right?
Yeah, and of course, like our explanation of our opinions is also gonna be extra scrutinized because we know her.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna say like I'm with you on the whole like working with her professionally and being a very good friend. Like I have no qualms of being like, no, Scarlett, you fucked up, man. Like we deserve, man.
Yeah. But this is an interesting thing in chat. Snow Twitch says, do you think they should have taken the initiative by contacting Blizzard, telling them that they sit next to each other and the outcome of the games could not be equal to regular laddering? And well, Snow Twitch, in a perfect world, that is actually perhaps the best option. I need to explain something to some of you guys who maybe don't understand how working with Blizzard works, because it's not as simple as like sending a tweet or Skyping somebody. Like we had a really big issue. I legally cannot tell you what it was, but we had a really big issue with something with Blizzard recently, and it was something that could have been resolved in a matter of 5 minutes if one person on Skype could have given us a direct answer. But with the way Blizzard works is like that one person who can give us the answer has to ask their boss, and they have to ask their boss, and then they have to ask legal, and then legal gets back to them 2 days later, and then gets back, and it trickles back down, and that ends up being like a week-long problem out of something that should have taken like 5 minutes to solve. So there's that aspect of it. There's also this thing where like a lot of players and casters have been given this like secret email thing with an NDA attached to it that like you're supposed to be able to mail Blizzard directly problems, maybe like this or maybe not, but it never gets used properly and it never gets responses, so that's kind of fallen to the wayside. There was a lot of attempts to make communication between Blizzard and players and Blizzard and organizers better this year, and they've all kind of fallen a little bit flat. Like the effort was made, but it didn't execute well. So again, like they could have said, hey, shit, we just queued into each other, pause the game, let's message, you know, Kim Fan from WCS. That still wouldn't have really mattered because she couldn't have, like,
yeah, I mean,
it would. It's dumb, but it makes sense when you understand how this works on a corporate level.
And literally the guy that made the post, and this guy isn't wrong for trying to point this out. He didn't really have a witch hunt or anything like that, but he actually said like, shouldn't I have sent this to Blizzard first? Well, I did. I sent them 2 emails, and they basically said like, you know, typical Blizzard response. So I don't know, like it is just this thing where there's not really fast answers for these abrupt things, and because like this is more than just it'll take a week and that's a week of my ladder time not being played. Literally, you have to play 15 games a day to be involved in this ladder thing. So
yeah, so that's another problem, and this is my issue. I feel like Blizzard has these really good intentions, but bad execution for things. Before I talk about this latter part of the the WCS contest, I'm gonna actually take this back to the map contest we ran about last month, right before IEM, if you guys remember. You know, lots of money on the line, which by the way, we still haven't been paid, so we can't play with players. Like, there's a lot of hiccups that have come as a result of that, but it was also something Blizzard tried to squeeze in before IEM, whereas if they had done this after IEM, there would have been no problems for the map makers, a ton of flexibility for the players, but they insisted on having to do it then and now. And I feel like the same issue has come now with this ladder qualifier where just this whole WCS system in general, where it felt rushed and last minute. We know from working with them that the schedule wasn't set when they wanted it to be, and that's not necessarily their fault. There's actually some legitimate things that came up, and part of it was actually us and Ting and all these other things. But the point is, I don't feel like this has been well executed so far at WCS. I don't even remember there being a big announcement when the rules and the dates and the times were actually listed. ESL made a tweet and they put a post public on their website, but it never hit the top of Reddit. I didn't see it till 3 days later, and I don't know how that was for everybody else. But that's just the start of this. Then they have this idea where they want to incentivize people playing the ladder. So they say, look, you got to play 15 games a day. And for most pros, playing 15 games a day isn't a problem, except for when it's mandatory. Maybe like you're one day, you're feeling sick. You really just don't want to drag yourself out of bed. Like, or you have work or school or whatever. And like suddenly 15 games in that one particular day isn't so feasible. Like, I like the idea of what they were trying to do, but I don't think that the way they did it was well. And when you do things like this, like where you're like, you have to play X amount of games. Or before, if you remember, it was you have to win X amount of games in the past, right? That's where win trading starts coming into play, because you could play 40 games and maybe not actually get the 15 wins you need. Now they've reduced it so it's not wins, but just play the games in general, and that's a lot more lenient, a lot more flexible. But like, let's say you're playing 40-minute games, 50-minute games. You don't actually have 15 hours to sit down and play StarCraft. You have to eat and sleep and shit and shower, and like, the idea is good, and I'm not saying like it's ever going to be perfect, and it's getting better every time Blizzard revises it. I still don't even like the setup for this one, though, is my problem. And I think it encourages things like trying to find loopholes, whether it's through match fixing or stalemating or whatever.
Yeah, there's not much to say about this except that someone did bring up the Bly thing that happened 2 seasons ago as well, where he also just basically made it more specific ruling and didn't get punished at all. So I think it's more akin to that if you're going to look for comparisons.
Wait, we were talking about money? How was your pay?
Okay, yeah, I was confused about this.
I'm not sure yet. So I'm not sure what the reference of this is. $4,000 was the prize pool of the map contest, and that's what's owed to players. $400, I think, is something that kid who got banned had won, but then lost because of his placements.
Oh.
So I'm not sure which of these two numbers is being confused, or maybe they're both being confused. Because I see 3 different people bringing up what looks like 3 different topics on money right now.
Right? Yeah, it was confusing.
But yeah, so the WCS drama has hit hard. And the thing is, like, it's funny because it's mostly just NA. What I think is going to happen is the EU qualifier is going to happen, and it's going to be so boring in comparison. A lot of it is, like, frankly, the EU players are just more professional. A lot of them get to do this full time. A lot of NA players don't. So you'll see, I think, a little bit more of a clusterfuck, for lack of a better word, when it comes to NA events in general. That's why we have stayed away from them. Like, there is this degree of like the viewership is lower and the money's not there for myself and Zombie Grub, but working with the players who can play stuff in NA times has just proven to be problematic, dramatic, and it's never as smooth as when you work with other people. Like, for context here, the whole blow up thing we had with Solar was like perhaps the first issue we've had with Koreans in like 4 years of doing this. Whereas we're doing drunk cast for NA qualifiers because it's literally what it takes to deal with some of the problems that arise. It's not just always for the stream. It's actually a little bit for our own sanity too.
It's always been NA. It's not saying NA is literally the worst, but when you think about all the most dramatic moments of most admin rules, it's usually been NA.
Yeah,
so.
And I mean, like, I'm really like, there's no. I'm not trying to condescend to NA. They still got a lot of good players who are professional, can handle themselves well. People like Nee were always a pleasure to work with. People like Puck back when he was around too, and Huck, and like, you've got NA players who know what they're doing. The difference is like there's just so much fewer of them that can do this full time compared to the other regions.
Yeah. The EU one's probably going to be also a bit of a terrible showing because no one knows. Again, the initial problem, no one knows what's happening when it's happening.
Well, there's that, of course, but I think a big part of it is, it was really interesting to me. Drogo was talking about this on his way to come to Korea. For those who don't know, PT Drogo currently is in the BaseTradeTV house in Korea, and there was this degree of like he was almost willing to completely forego the WCS challengers, qualifiers, and all this, because it was going to be such a, like, I'm not saying this is his words, but I'm imagining in his mind, he's like, you know what, this is going to be such a, like a gong show anyways. I'll just qualify in the open bracket at DreamHack and just end up playing GSL qualifiers and train in Korea to get better as a player instead. And like, logically, I can understand that if that's the case. But part of it too is just like, it's crazy how again, it just feels like this wasn't done well. It was done too late. And I know Blizzard wants to do seasons, so it's like everything leads up and finishes at BlizzCon. But maybe, and like this is going really crazy, but maybe we don't have StarCraft finish at BlizzCon if it means that they can announce things better and plan things better, right? Like, I would not mind having whatever the WCS finals for StarCraft is finish at like an IEM of like the next year if it means that like people plan and coordinate things better, because everything feels rushed into this like really like super tight time frame all the time. And for Blizzard, it's always last minute too, it feels. Like, they claim they work on these things months in advance, and I sit there and I'm like, yo, me and Zombie could plan this out in like 5 seconds. I don't know why you guys need months, right? Like,
it's also like, well, they have these like 2-3 months, right, where they don't even release the handbook, and they should be planning everything out. And it feels like they have that set, and we're like, good job, like you're doing better this year. And then they think of something really cool like a month later, and they want to implement it. And I feel like that's what Challenger was. They're like, man, this Fear Dragon guy is an amazing idea. We should do this. And then they work on it for like 2 months instead of the 2 months they had to plan, and it just comes into this.
Part of this too is like we got the pleasure of going to the summit last year, and we learned a lot of their plans for 2017 and what they wanted to do. And it's just interesting how far this has come from what we had talked about there. And I can't tell you guys because I don't know how much I would or wouldn't get in trouble for, but the TLDR is like, we may have talked about one thing, like we may have spent the whole summit talking about apples, but we ended up with is oranges, and you're like, how did we get here? Like, I feel like there were so many good plans for those apples, so many good ideas for those apples.
I love the analogy. We had apple pie, we had apple crumble. You can't like that with oranges. Shrimp
cocktail, shrimp barbecue, shrimp. Yeah. So it's interesting. So you've had this drama blow up, but the thing is, and this, it's hard to find the silver lining in moments of like when just shit goes down. But the thing is, like with the Avilo and the other guy, I don't remember his name even, that whole deal, it made it very clear to everybody else that Blizzard wasn't going to tolerate stupid stuff, which is good. That is actually a good thing for the fans, the sponsors, the viewers, like everybody who's watching that, knowing that there's not going to be this question of like stupid drama for no reason because either somebody is cheating or somebody is calling somebody out for cheating or whatever, right? Then this thing with Scarlet, no regret. Okay, they didn't actually break any rules. Maybe you're on the team that thinks that they should be punished, and it's unfortunate because you're not going to get that punishment. On the other hand, you're the team that's like glad they're not getting punished, but I think either way, both sides can respect that no other players will get away with this or do this again because Blizzard's recognized now, oh, this is actually a problem. We've adapted, we've addressed the rules, and we're going to keep making things better going forward. Yeah. So, like, there are actually good outcomes out of bad situations like this. And there's actually something to relate back here to BaseTradeTV. A lot of people will see this, like, anytime somebody is really reaching, like, I've got nothing to shit on Rifkin about, so let's drag up stuff from, like, 5 years ago. There was this incident, and I guess I'll lay in for you guys so you know what happened here. I can't remember. I always mix the two players up. I think his name was Carnage. I could be wrong about this. But there's a North American player playing one of our qualifiers. Oh, yeah. And it turns out that at this time, keep in mind, we didn't have a proper rule set that outlined how to better deal with this. But at the time, he had accused his opponent of map hacking. We had no definitive proof, but there was a lot of people complaining. So what we said was we'll remove the player who's being accused just because, well, it's causing trouble. We don't want trouble for our sponsors, right? But then everyone got really upset because we didn't let him go back and replay all the matches and say, like, look, guys, we just got through 10 hours of broadcasting. We're not going back to play 5 best-of-3s. We'll just remove the guy and tell the guy to play in the next qualifier or whatever. I can't remember exactly how that timeline went. But the point was, when this went down, regardless of how good or bad we handled the situation, we learned from this. And we wrote into our rules specifically things that would accommodate similar issues going forward in the future. And I can tell you it's frustrating because, especially when Blizzard's got a big corporation behind them and they're not just like grassroots BaseTradeTV people, like we actually have no real responsibilities, whereas Blizzard does. It's tough for them to have to face these situations. But from somebody who's been on the other side of this, of like the growing pains or whatever you want to call it, like it's a good thing because since then, in the last 3 years, we've never had this issue again. There's never been that drama coming up again. It only ever happened the one time. So I like to think StarCraft isn't a dead game, and I like to think like it is something we're still going to see next year and the year after, and the year after that, ideally.
Yeah, you're going to see the exact same thing next year.
Well, yeah. But my point is,
their plan.
We know next year you're not going to have these problems, ideally. And I don't know. It's just it's so hard to look at this situation and not be salty, because no matter who you are, you're pissed off at somebody when stuff like this goes down. But I think if the community can just keep like a level head and realize how, look, Blizzard's actually dealing with this, they're not ignoring the problem. People who deserve to be punished are being punished. If you really want to be bloodthirsty and zealous and go for extra blood for people like Scarlet, I mean, I'd say good luck, but it is in my honest opinion that I don't think anything was done wrong. So adjusting the rules and making sure it never can go wrong, these are all good things. And I think the rest of the WCS season should only go up from here. Like, that's the nice part of it too. Like, NA started and set the standard real low. So now when WCS EU and everything else comes in, like, it should be fine, right? Ideally.
Flashbacks like MLG NA admins. Jesus.
So,
that was a long time ago.
So to wrap things up here too, real quick, if you were on the other side of this, like, let's say you were on, we should punish Scarlet for this. What do you think is appropriate for that? Like, for her and no regret. Do you say like, look,
just take her out of the tournament?
So, but what I was gonna ask is, do you take this like to the Avillo side of the punishment, where like you can go to the open bracket, but you can't play anything online, you get no money online, or do you say like, no, Scorched Earth, you're fucked, don't come back till jumping, or whatever, however you pronounce the next dream hack?
It's really hard to say, because even if you tell me to be on their side, there's still so many variances to their side. There's people who think like, well, they technically broke the rule, but it wasn't like a very clear-cut rule, so they should be lightly punished. And there's people who are like, no, it was total match fixing, they should never be able to play, like, you know. So I would say just don't let them play at all in this upcoming tournament. The one that this affects would be what I would say if I was on the other side. What about you?
I would just be I think the Avillo side of it, where you're like, look, you can play the offline qualifier or at the event, but like you can't do anything online. You've caused troubles online, so you're punished online. You know what I mean? That's just personal. But two interesting things in chat. Expert Spectator says more rules is not the answer, Rifkin, and I agree. More rules is not necessarily the answer, but perfecting the rules you have, I think, is an answer. Rules. Because right now there is a lot of like gray space. I guarantee you, actually, if someone wanted to sit there and go over the WCS rules and just find, like, specifically look for loopholes, you would find dozens. Like, it's actually not, like, it's a really extensive, like, rule book, but they're all very vague and not very specific. So I think the better the rules, the better, but not more rules. I agree with that. But then the other one is coming from Rick13311, says, why can't Blizzard just have a conversation like you're having right now after talking to lawyers, etc.? So actually, this is maybe not the answer you're looking for, but one thing I get really jealous of is I see like the WoW devs regularly doing streams where they're talking to players and interacting with both the PvP and PvE side, and they're very transparent about their ideas and what their goals are and what they want to do. The WoW PvP community is actually a lot more closely tight-knit, and their equivalent of the StarCraft WCS system, I think, is a lot more... It's a lot better. They have their own problems, their own trials and tribulations. There's DDoS attacks and all these other things, but... they're a lot more transparent and I think more connected to their community. One problem, and I want to make this clear, a Rifkin opinion only. I'm not saying that anyone else shares this opinion or that I'm even right, but I really don't actually believe, and I say this with a little bit of like sadness, I don't actually believe there's anyone that's working in the StarCraft department at Blizzard that's actually that into StarCraft. And yes, you've got players like David Kim who actually play, or people like David Kim who actually play the game. And he's not just some like random dude like a lot of people like to give him shit for. But we don't have anyone who's really involved with the streamers. The community managers for Blizzard don't really know the community that well. And when it comes to like esports and outreach, like Blizzard's got so many different things that they have their esports team doing. They don't have time to focus on StarCraft. So it's not surprising when you see neglect happen, right? And I really wish, like, and I'm not saying it should be us or whatever. I wouldn't even want the job if it was offered to me. But I really wish we had someone who could better represent the community so you could have a clearer line of communication. There's a lot of examples I want to get into, but I can't because like they're from like NDAs and like private events and stuff. But the point is like there is a big disconnect. One story I can tell you, actually, you guys remember Lag TV recently called it quits with StarCraft, right? And I have actually been talking with Maximus for a very, very long time. And one of the things that came down to is respect, and maybe money too. That's questionable, but I remember specifically knowing this information and trying to introduce Maximus Black to like the community manager, or one of the community managers, or whatever you want to call them, from StarCraft at TwitchCon, and there was the expectation that like, oh yeah, they'll follow up, and then Maximus will be happy, and then everyone will be communicating, and there won't be any problems. But instead of that, they just ignored him, and they got more angry because of this, and then they ended up just leaving, saying StarCraft's just not worth it because they're not getting anything from Blizzard, right? Like, and I don't blame them for leaving either. The way they're being treated, it took so much and so long for us to even get a clear line of communication with Blizzard as well. And I'm very happy with our relationship with Blizzard, and I think that they are good people at heart with good intentions, but the execution always seems to fall flat.
Yeah. I guess one of the most obvious ways to point this out, I suppose, is just like, when's the last time you really saw like a lot of people posting on Reddit? The two amazing people that you saw from Blizzard all the time on their own accounts posting and interacting are no longer StarCraft.
Yeah,
so,
actually,
Zoevia and Sion.
Yeah, Zoevia went to Overwatch, and she's been doing great things over there. Sion got like promoted or something.
Laterally moved or whatever it is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the point was like he still has some involvement with StarCraft, but he doesn't get to be directly involved like he was. And I will tell you guys, I think the best state StarCraft's community was in was when you had actually Sion like regularly reading Reddit and responding over there, and it sucked. The day he told me like that he was going to leave and the announcement happened and it was on Twitter and all this, my heart actually sank, like, because I knew nobody was going to be able to fill his role. And even they could have 4 people come in and not do the job him and Zoevia could do, right? When it came to like community and StarCraft and all that. And
yeah.
I'm not. I want to make this clear. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade and disrespect our current guys who are working there, but it's just not, like, objectively, it's just not the same level of connectivity. It's not the same level of involvement, and it doesn't feel like it honestly sometimes doesn't feel like they care as much as those other 2 folks that we just mentioned did.
Well, so without like saying anything too harsh, right? Because I used to like working with them and all that. It's just that I think you can kind of tell, really, that StarCraft 2 is the game that everyone knows but no one really plays. I mean, it's not the way it is in like real life as well.
Yeah,
so
a lot
like
more
you can
people
ask,
watch than they do play.
You ask like 100 Blizzard employees, and almost 100 of them will probably say I play Hearthstone, right?
Yeah,
probably 8
WoW,
of them would say I play Heroes.
Yeah.
100 would say I played WoW for X amount of time, or still play. I feel. And what's like another one I'm forgetting? Diablo. Okay, I guess Diablo's probably worse off. Okay, I feel bad for them too. But the point is, like,
Diablo's about to get a huge resurgence. They got the Necromancer coming out, right?
Yeah, right. But in terms of esports, it's just like StarCraft 2. Just like no one's like really like super passionate. Like, this is the game that I was watching for a dozen years. It's what I still watch every single time that it comes on, and I love everything about it. And I play the game so often. You don't get that same feeling, I think. Like, I even kind of like feel jealous about the Heroes, because even though Heroes is like not that great of an esport, their community really seems to be pretty tight knit. Like, the people they have seem to be really enthusiastic.
I've actually had the pleasure of getting to know a lot of players. Yeah. So I don't know, and it's not necessarily like I can't blame. Like, if you're not interested, you're not interested in it. And if no one's interested in it, then I guess you're not hiring anyone, and that's not their fault. But it is sad to know that our StarCraft team is just like, yeah, StarCraft. I really respect that game. One of the heroes. One of the heroes, community managers, his name, I can't remember, it's Triskler or something. She streams and plays the game like all the time, and like there's that level of involvement. Then you got people like there's Lashes, who is just like, she is always on point as far as like being in person at events and like being super friendly and welcoming to new people. And I don't know who I can say does that for StarCraft. The answer to that is like nobody, literally.
Yeah, and it's like, again, like I don't want to like seem like I'm totally just ragging on it, because there's definitely good things, and it's much better than it has been in the very, very past. But yeah, if I had to complain about one thing, it's that I never felt very connected with the community managers that we have, like both like literally as in like talking to people, right, for terms of tournaments, but also just like if I hang out with them, I feel like we can talk about other things. The only person, okay, should I tell this story? It's not like I'm breaking any rules. I'm not. But I just wonder. So Mika, if you guys don't know her, she's the new StarCraft 2 Twitter manager.
Oh yeah, you guys will notice the StarCraft Twitter has been on point since like November-ish. It's because the person behind it is actually fucking like amazing. Yeah,
this is totally biased, and I can't say that I did this to every single person I ever met at Blizzard. So maybe if I did, they'd totally be on board too. Who knows? But the first interaction I had with her was that like, not many people had gone to talk to her. I talked to her. I was a little bit tipsy, and I just like started like talking about Brood War memes and Brood War history and StarCraft 2 memes. And instead of boring her, she's actually very interested in it. And she's like, I don't play a lot of StarCraft, but I'm very interested in it. And I really feel like that reflects in her tweets. So as silly as it is, I like that so much more. So.
Well, another thing too is like I want to point this out. We're sponsored. Like this is another example. We're sponsored by Twitch, right? And Twitch is always promoting all these other esports events, and you'd think like the money, because Twitch is directly giving us money. And by the way, when they sponsored us, the thing they told me was literally just spend it on StarCraft. That's all we care about, right? Like they love StarCraft. Everybody has at some point watched StarCraft, and a lot of people who might not actively get to work in it or watch it on the regular, they will still watch it given the opportunity. And while we might not be on the front page all the time, we might not, like it's just more proof that you've got all these people who are definitely into StarCraft. And I don't have a solution to this, but I wish there was a way to just like unlock all these people together, right? Like you've got people at Twitch, you got people at Blizzard, you got people who play friggin' League of Legends. Like who's I think it was like Faker was quoting like or talking about how he looked up to Jaedong like as he was becoming like a pro player or something like that. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong guy here.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But the point is like there's so many people who are about that StarCraft life. But I feel like the community is so segmented and fragmented, and because nobody comes together, there is no actual community for it. And this is where I'm going to get egotistical for a second. What I love what we've been able to do with BaseTradeTV is we have been able to, I think, collect some of those fragments, bring them together, and while we might not have the necessarily StarCraft 2 community, we got the BaseTradeTV community that loves StarCraft, right? And I wish Blizzard could do that on a bigger scale. I think that's what they need if they want to like really fix a lot of the problems. But this is so far off topic, like what we started off with. We're talking about like recent events and all this.
It is, but yeah.
These types of conversations, by the way, like you flag me or Nathanius or a lot of these folks down at an event, buy us a drink. Like I could talk about this for hours. I don't want to talk about this for hours right now, but this is something that we all regularly discuss, like players included. Like this is a topic on all of our minds because we do care about the game, we do care about the state that it's in, and we want things to go well. And I really wish I was smart enough to have like all the answers to fix things, but I'm not. All I can do is talk about what we see happening, right, and what we witness happening firsthand.
Yeah, it's also really hard to complain, and then I guess it's what gets people in trouble, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's the point of it, right? Like even if you're trying to be as nice as possible, just like the bottom line is like someone I know I don't actually think is doing 100% the best job possible, and there's just no way to say that without like later getting shit for it. So
I'm currently in a predicament where I'm like, how do I tell my roommate she sucks at doing dishes? Like
yeah, it is one of those things. And it's again like bottom line, like I'm happy that it's existing now, and it's so different than it was before, and it's not all bad. In fact, a lot of it's very good, but there certainly are feelings and emotions that are there that just aren't going to get fixed anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you're gonna do about it.
All I would ask though, to really put an end to this conversation so we can go offline and enjoy our day, and I'll go play Mass Effect, right? Is that when you guys see stuff that have happened like this, right? Like there's questions of like, is this right? Is this wrong? Is Blizzard handling this? Are they not handling it? I would hope that you could at least look at it and say like, look, whether Blizzard is or isn't handling it correctly, the real question is like, are they learning from the situation, right? Because that's been the case for us. We definitely, me especially, have not handled things perfectly, but we've always learned from things, like learn from the mistakes, learn from the successes. And I think that's a big part of like why we've been able to advance and grow. And I think that regardless of whether you agree or disagree with Blizzard, it's pretty evident that over the last 3 years, they've done nothing but learn and improve. And maybe it's not to the rate that a lot of us wish it was, but but better and good things are still happening from it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's I think all I got for the conversation. What about you?
I think I said my piece. I said enough. I wrapped it all up in a nice little bag, and hopefully we didn't piss anyone off.
Tight. Well, even if we did, I feel like nothing that we said here was anything I wouldn't want to share, and I try to share with these folks on the regular anyways, right? Like, not to bring up a whole nother discussion, but one of the things I actually messaged one of the community managers about a month ago was, hey, dude, for the first time in 4 years, I'm actually really worried. We're having more trouble than we've ever had in the past trying to fill brackets for tournaments and find people who aren't going to no-show. Like, not that there's anything I'm expecting you to do about it, but I just want to raise your awareness with my concerns of saying, like, I'm actually worried about the shrinking player base. Like, there's literally tens of thousands of people who play StarCraft on the regular, but the pro scene, the folks who are on, like, that Snoot and Nurchio and like higher echelon of like playing in tournaments, that number is going down a lot, and it sucks and it hurts the game for it to be like that. Not to mention us here on BaseTradeTV. So like these are concerns I regularly try and voice, but whether they get listened to or not, then I have no idea at that point. That's Anyways, let's I don't know, wrap it up, I guess. So thanks for watching, everybody. I don't know, when are we back? We're back Monday, right? I don't even know. I gotta look at our schedule. Although I can just go to the events page on Twitch now, because that's a really new handy feature. So
wow.
If you guys don't know about this, twitch.tv/BaseTradeTV/events is actually this really awesome calendar feature that Twitch came out with. And the best part is you can sign it, like you can click on it to say, remind me an hour before this event goes live so that you don't miss it. Because sometimes the Twitch notifications don't actually tell you like we're live or your show's live or the tournament's live. So this guarantees that you won't miss any of the action.
We aren't casting until Tuesday.
Oh, we get some time off. That's nice. Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm actually, hang on, I gotta go back to this. We've been casting almost every single day for, we had the week off at the end of February. If we didn't have the week off at the end of February, it would have been like 2 months straight. But this has basically been start to finish of March. We had Saturday the 18th off, and that was it. So this is our first break. Like we even came home early from Ting so we could stream the next day. Like this is our first 3-day break in a while. We'll probably, I gotta imagine Zombie Rob and I were like workaholics at this point. We'll probably come back and do something, whether it's muck around a co-op or maybe we stream some Mass Effect. But Tuesday the 4th is gonna be the next cast we do. That's gonna be the Alima League. So we got some time off. If you guys haven't heard the announcement, we're moving Corsair Cups to Friday. That won't necessarily be permanent. We are just testing out a new time for it for April. But because BTSL used to be on Friday, we had to move that as well due to VSL. So now BTSL is going to be trying to go on Wednesday. But then we're waiting to see when GSL dates are released. So there's going to be a little bit of moving the schedule. But ideally, if nothing needs to be changed, then Alima League and Corsair Cup, the Alima League and the BTSLs will be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Corsair Cups will be on Fridays going forward. But we'll see if that ends up working out the way we want it to, because nothing ever works out the way you want it to, right?
Sometimes not.
Anyways, yeah, have a great day, everybody. Make sure to follow our social media. Check out our sponsors, Corsair down below. Someone is asking about this on Twitter. If you actually click on any of those links, it just brings you to the Corsair site. And like caches the referral link of like, hey, it's BaseTradeTV. So as long as you don't clear your cookies or anything in the middle of like navigating the site, you can go anywhere else on that site to make a purchase, and we will get credit and we will get money for it, which is good. On top of that, though, they do sponsor the Corsair Cup weekly. Of course, with Maturino and all these other guys like helping us out, Twitch especially. Twitch being the big driving force to upgrading a lot of these cups to be bigger, better things. We've had a lot of cool stuff this year, and we got even more planned. So again, follow us on Twitter for updates. Keep tuning in. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.